Ah, Kem is here. Amazing.
Rob,
Buddy.
my man, what are you doing, bro?
Yeah, when I swing, I put that fire to your chest. Talking ass, better wear a fucking vest.
You mentioned that, so it just crossed my mind.
Yeah, but you do understand how from a neutral point of view, right? Not even as somebody who is like, and it's not that I actively don't believe that there is a God, right? I'm open to being convinced God could appear here and now, and I would be like, okay, yeah, I guess you exist. Mm-hmm. My question is whether or not God then deserves to be worshipped. That's a completely different conversation, right? And that is to do with the transactional nature of what worship is, right? It's spiritual energy that I'm giving you, so I expect a return on that investment.
You will get that. You know what?
The Bible, I expect it tangibly. I expect it tangibly and immediately.
Like what kind of tangible investment?
Well, the only reward that God offers for that transaction is the eternal life after death, which I'm not interested in.
Well, no, that's not true.
Okay.
He does offer you a relationship in the here and the now, and a lot of things.
Does that provide material benefit to me?
It most likely, almost always does. Most
child of God, demonstrate it. Seeing is believing. Demonstrate it. You have to convince me. You can't just say these things, right?
Yeah. I know.
No, I mean you can't. You have to demonstrate it. It's a loving God, but also a just.
I know.
Any God. I would contend with both of those statements.
He's checking off all the Christian rhetoric boxes.
Of course.
Yeah, and that's fine.
I mean, see his goodness more than his wrath. I don't know that his wrath.
See, he's doing the same thing that bugs me with atheists, making claims that the dumb isn't being it.
Well, I mean, you make the same claim essentially. You have also not demonstrated your God.
Well, the thing is, I can't demonstrate. Like, you're asking for things that are beyond my power. I can give evidences and put induction.
I don't think that that's true.
Pardon?
I don't think that that's true.
How so?
You have access to Christian grimoire. You could prove. You could demonstrate Christian grimoire. Have you heard of the Lesser Key of Solomon?
King of Solomon?
No, the Lesser Key of Solomon. It's a book that has been posthumously attributed to him. But it's a piece of Christian grimoire. It contains methods through which to summon entities from Christian esoterica.
I've not heard of this.
You should look into it. But like you do within the confines of your worldview have methods through which to at the very least provide material evidence of the existence of any of these entities. Mm-hmm. And I guess I'll tip my hand in that sense that I'll let you know that if you can do that on our debate on camera, I will concede the debate right then and there. Because it completely changes the question, right? That completely changes the position that I take. Because at the moment, I am unconvinced.
Yeah.
I don't believe that there's anything that you have said or that any other Christians have said to convince me that what you're saying is true. I don't sit here as an anti-theist claiming that what you say is explicitly a lie.
Anti-theism is kind of weird.
It's a dumb position to take, right? It's just as much of a religious position as yours is.
Oh, not more so.
I would say that it's about equally as religious because you're claiming a thing in spite of there being no evidence, and logically saying that there is no God is not.
And this, I don't think this will bug you, but it's actually not my job to demonstrate God. It's my job to be an ambassador for Christ.
I think when you make claims authoritatively, and then you take those claims and then extract policy prescriptions from them, it is your responsibility to demonstrate that these things exist.
Well, I mean, the thing is, I can only there's limitations within the confines of what we can demonstrate.
Yeah, that which is demonstratable is what exists.
So that what we can't demonstrate doesn't exist?
Necessarily, yes. If you can't demonstrate that a thing interacts with the physical world as we experience it, you have to Occam's razor it away because it might as well not exist. If it doesn't interact with anything, it can't be measured, right?
Well, yeah. The thing is, God does interact, just not in a way that's.
So you should be able to quantifiably measure that. Is what I'm saying.
Well, I mean, God communicates through the senses.
The senses are a method of quantification. You can quantify what the senses experience.
Okay, well, I know I can I guess in that way, I can quantify it every day that I experience God through my senses.
Right, but what does that look like?
Let
me draw you a picture. So
sure.
We can't see air, right?
Well, no, it's immaterial.
It's not immaterial.
Air
is not immaterial.
I said God is immaterial.
Okay, so that presents an additional problem, because if he's
For
immaterial, well, it presents an additional problem for your case, right? Because if he's immaterial,
being immaterial,
he doesn't interact with the material world, and if he doesn't interact with the material world, he can't be measured. And if he can't be measured,
he does interact with
Occam's
the
razor it away.
I know this is gonna. I know it sounds it's gonna sound contrary, but I'm gonna say it anyways. God does interact with the material world. He does it in a way that can't be measured.
Well, then he doesn't interact with the material world. Because if he did, it could be measured, right?
Yeah. I mean, no, I can understand why you think that, but in my mind, what you're doing is reductionistic.
I mean, yes, I'm reducing the barrier of entry here. All you need to do is to show me that God directly.
Yeah, but the thing is, you don't get to make the stipulations by how God interacts with the universe.
I'm not making any stipulations. I'm asking you to demonstrate the presence of your God.
Right.
I'm not making stipulations. I'm just letting you know this is how you demonstrate these things.
Right.
This is the standard.
This would be the conditions you place on God for what you would consider.
These are the standards of evidence if we want something that's reproducible, analyzable, testable, and falsifiable.
So what you want is you want God to be scientific, is what you're saying.
I want to be objective.
Well, I mean, what you just said.
And objectivity is reached through consensus.
The word you just picked off were what we consider scientific. That would be observed, tested, repeated. I
guess if you want to put it that way, it's
no. You said it, man. I'm just laying it.
Sure.
I'm just going full game with what you said.
I wouldn't label it as scientific. I would label it as reasonable. This is, I mean, if you can't individually test and examine a claim, right, and you can't produce the same results every time, it's unreasonable for you to take this position.
Right. The thing is, there's things that I can produce. I can produce repeatedly. But I can't. But I can only. But the thing is, there's a point where I have to do it using induction and experience because that's the only way.
But then you're not producing anything. You're arriving at an internal conclusion. That's not what I'm talking about.
Right. But
to demonstrate the existence of a thing, you have to demonstrate.
But the conclusions that I'm arriving at are also based on are repeatable and testable in terms of their results as well.
Right. So my standard of evidence is just provide me with a procedure that anyone, anywhere, at any time from any faith can perform and arrive at the exact same result every single time.
You're not going to get that result from everyone across the board from every different faith. There's no possible way.
No. What I mean is that's how we determine whether a thing can be like classified as a fact, right? Is when people independently, without needing to cooperate with each other or derive anything from each other, are able to arrive at the same conclusion reasonably, right?
Oh, I see what you're saying.
Like, you need a procedure. Right. And that's what I'm saying is that if there's nothing to be gathered at the end of that procedure, if there's no quanta there to measure, I don't know that it's a reasonable position to take.
I'm just seeing he left.
He left quite a bit ago.
Okay.
Like that's just the standard of evidence if you want to prove that a thing exists, and that applies for anything, right? Like if you want to prove that one of these flags exists, I can send you data about these flags, right? You can't send me data. Nobody has sent me data about God. I should amend the statement before I say something. I put my foot on it. Nobody yet has produced quanta about God. You can't tell me where he is. You can't tell me how big he is. You can't tell me what he's made of.
Yeah, because those things are immeasurable.
Right. And so that's like the fundamental problem is that if you're going to say that a thing exists, you have to demonstrate that it exists before you can reasonably expect people to believe you.
But I believe gravity exists. I can't prove it.
Yes, you can. Absolutely you can. Well, you can measure gravity's effect on things.
Right. You can measure gravity's effects on things. That's true. But it's still a theory in essence.
I mean, yeah, but theory in science means something different than theory.
I can't see the wind, I can't.
But you
see
can
air.
feel it. You can
can
measure
feel
it. You
it.
can put up a windsock and you can see.
Exactly. I can move my arm through space and I can feel the air.
Yeah, you can feel
Yeah.
your the physical sensation of air whooshing
Yes.
past your fingers.
That's
I
true.
can't do that to God.
No, you can't.
And that's the problem.
Mhm.
Right? Is that you're making a fundamentally immaterial claim.
So the thing is, I think you're making a category error.
I know that you would like me to be making a category error.
No, I know that you are making a category error.
What is my category error, Rob?
You're making the category error and saying that basically, I mean, I'm going to use a bit of tongue in cheek, but I'm basically saying the category error is you want God to be scientific, but God's immaterial. So on the
This
face
sounds
of it,
like special pleading.
Sure.
This sounds like special pleading. You're making a special condition for God as to why he can't fit my standards of evidence, that everything else that I can confirm exists
But God is immaterial.
can satisfy.
But God is immaterial, so asking for demonstration of a tangible.
Well, but you believe that God exists in a tangible sense, right? Like
yes,
you experience God, you feel
Right.
God, you speak
Right.
to God.
right,
God has spoken to people. That's a material existence.
right.
Right, that's physically, because what is sound if not the vibration of waves or the pressure waves traveling across a space, right? So
Yeah.
if you hear God and God speaks to you and you speak to God, we should be able to measure the volume of God's voice, for instance.
That'd be cool. I wish I could.
But you understand that the fact that you can't is a problem fundamentally for you.
For you,
It's a problem for your case, because your goal is ultimately to convince people
my goal is to ultimately point you in the right direction.
what you believe is the right direction. And that
Sure.
requires convincing people.
Sure.
If you're going to claim that a thing exists, you have to demonstrate that the thing exists before you can reasonably expect people to believe you.
I can see how you can think that.
Well, I mean, necessarily, you have to, right?
Hmm.
You have to demonstrate to somebody that God exists before you can reasonably expect them to believe you.
I think. I mean.